officially good afternoon. Here we are, the Karoo Connection podcast, coming to you live from the backyard again. Andy Coffer here,
Ted here.
Jackson over here, and we're going to talk about some stuff today. Just some firehouse stuff, I guess.
I thought we were going to talk about some stories, maybe.
I don't know. Stories are always good. There's been a bunch of them over the years.
Well, after our initial podcast, Jesus, yeah. Go ahead. You're right. Well, after our first podcast, we had a good time. We got some really valuable advice from our friends and family, and so we thought we'd try that today and work on a little bit. And so one of the things that we heard was, hey, why don't you guys talk about some stories, some firehouse stories?
Calls. Maybe some calls.
So, yeah, maybe some stuff we talked around the table. I don't know. So, as you know, Andy was a fireman at Lake Valley, and he had some good, probably some memorable calls.
I did. We had things where we ran a different system when I first started to how my career ended as far as our staffing levels and people in the engine and whatnot. But I worked with some characters when I first started off, and I'm proud to say that actually my whole career, A tour, baby. So
you were on A tour the entire career?
Yes, I was.
Wow. Seems like we do a lot more mixing.
It was so easy. A for Andy. I knew which schedule to look at, and I was like, okay, this is easy. And plus, yeah, we had a good crew on A shift. We had a lot of fun. But I started off with a couple characters, Walt Carmichael and Kurt Warren. And
that just makes me laugh when I think about Walt and his voice.
Yeah, we had a really good time. And there was one call in particular with those two characters. And at all times, I want this disclaimer to be thrown out, that at no time did any patient suffer any less quality care due to the nature of these calls.
Okay, when you got to start with something like that, it concerns me that this didn't go right. I don't know. Let's hear it.
The call was up on the summit at one of I think Sierra Camp or one of those places up there, the Baptist camp. And this guy he was one of the workers there, and he was suffering from carbon monoxide. I believe he had a little issue with some carbon monoxide, was that call. And so anyways, when we got there, this guy also had a black dog, a Labrador, really friendly dog. And when we got there, this gentleman was in a little bit of distress, but not too bad. We opened up all the windows and doors, and we started doing vitals. And as I'm knelt down and I'm doing vitals on this guy, and Kurt and Walt were grabbing more gear, and they came back and they just started laughing. Well, this dog, like I said, he was pretty friendly. Got after it.
Overly friendly?
The dog is humping away as I'm trying to do vitals on this guy, and these guys are laughing their butts off, and I'm going, hey, could use a little help in here, and the dog's getting after it. I'm trying to do my gig, and these guys are about peeing in their pants. So anyways, everything went well. The guy survived. Life was good, but yeah, we laughed about that one for a while.
That's good, man. I like that ghost story.
Yeah.
That's G-rated. I was hoping we might go down maybe a little more, I don't know, maybe a little tougher road, a little scarier spot. I don't know. You got any?
Well, there's those ones that you just laugh about, though, because they were funny calls. Not gory, but just funny. And one more quick one with Walt. This guy was, I don't remember what his deal was, what the actual call came in as, but he was at this gal's house. She didn't know him that well. Just met him at the casino the night before, I believe. So not really sure of his medical history. So we show up, and this guy's like totally out of it. So Walt and I'm at his legs. Walt's at the head. We're backboarding this guy, and he lets a fart go and just rips this thing. And I'm just like, whoa! And Walt's doing that. Wow! Anyways, oh man, we laughed about that one for a while. He lived as well, just saying. Anyways, yeah, not gory, but just funny stuff.
When I think about a funny story, I think about one of the old captains driving down the road. We used to, before cell phones and such, we had map books. So we'd have pages of maps. And so one of our captains was driving down the road. He had the window down. He was trying to figure out where the call was. And at one point, we remember how the 3-ring binders held about 100 pages or more. So it never sat right.
Yeah,
it was always on the edge of exploding. Well, the thing exploded, and all the maps went flying out the windows. He's on, and he didn't know what to do, and so he just shut the book and set it down and said, "I don't know. We're just going to do the best we can." And I don't want to say who that person was.
We don't want to mention any names.
Yeah.
Sorry, actually, I did mention names earlier, but that was okay. Sorry.
Maybe we should talk about some of the calls that we've had some interesting.
Well, gosh dang, yeah. Like I said on our previous interview, maybe that was one that didn't get recorded, but our department covers a really interesting amount of territory. We have a very unique response area with all kinds of, we got highways, we got backcountry, we got this, we got that, we got wildland. So you never, it was always kind of exciting because you never knew what you got to do that day. Who was going to screw up where. But
that's like a box of chocolates.
You never know what you're going to get. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. Going to work was like opening up a box of chocolates. But yeah, we had some bitching calls with helicopters dropping guys off in couloirs and yeah, just cool stuff. And unfortunately, some of those not good outcomes. But there was one in particular that we were responding out to Highway 88, and it was a pretty gnarly TC, traffic collision. And this lady had consumed a little bit of alcohol, and we found her car on the turn. And she had been ejected, and her car was, in a spot that's like, ooh, man, this doesn't look good, and there's no body in the car. So as we searched the immediate area, we found her in this pile of trees, small trees, completely unscathed, like drunk still,
just
laying there, just like kind of laughing and. Like she can't believe what just happened, but she's so blasted, and she was kind of a big girl, if I remember correctly, ejected from that vehicle without a scratch.
It's strange how sometimes that works, isn't it?
So bizarre. One of the lucky ones.
Well, maybe I should tell you about one call I think about in particular. It goes way back, but it's a funny call because it was I think I was brand new to Lake Valley. I wasn't a paramedic yet. I was still an EMT, and I was partnered up with Megan, and we had a call to go out to Kirkwood Ski Resort for just a routine call to the ski clinic. I think it was a head injury or something. And right before we get out there, we come across in the ice box. Remember where the ice box is?
Nasty.
Well, we come across a head-on that was in there, and it was pretty ugly. It was one of the ugliest things I'd seen maybe ever. I was just starting to work for Lake Valley. I'd done some volunteering, so I'd gone on some calls, but this was pretty interesting. So a guy was trapped in the car. And you could see there was blood dripping out from the bottom of the car, and there was another guy that we had self-extricated by the time we got there, and we put him in the back of the ambulance. And so I remember Megan putting me in the back of the ambulance and saying, "Hey, just handle this guy." And so I started doing vitals, and I find this guy's got a flail chest, like a flail sternum, and it was kind of moving around in there. And I thought to myself, well, what am I supposed to do?
Can't split that one. That's a
That
tough
was my
place.
my introduction to Lake Valley, is getting put in the back of an ambulance with a guy that you had no idea what to do, and leave Megan outside to handle the rest of the stuff, which went well, as you can imagine. But yeah, that's Lake Valley for you right there.
Well, I tell you, I got to work with Megan. She was on my tour for a lot of years, and she was a great medic. And we had a lot of fun working together, a lot of laughs, great crew. But there was one time with Megan that we had to shock a conscious patient because his heart was in, I think it was an AFib, and we had to shock him into a normal rhythm. And
Probably VFib, but
sorry, VFib. Hey, I've been retired a while. Sorry. But anyways, we're talking to this guy and we got him hooked up to the defib, and we're telling him, okay, we're gonna shock you. It's gonna hurt a little bit. And boom, we shocked the guy, and he's like, oh, God, oh, jeez, oh. And it didn't convert him. So we had to do it once more. And now he knew what was coming. He wasn't real happy about it, but he's like, oh, I can't do it, you got. And anyways, he lived. He lived as well for a while yet. Nice local guy, but I won't mention any names. But yeah, that was a great call with Megan. I was like, I've never seen any conscious guy get shocked before. So that was pretty cool.
Love that. Hey, before we run on at the mouth too much, man, why don't we close this podcast down? We'll reopen with another one. Any final words on the subject? Anything you need to say?
As we're just sitting here, there's so many of these calls that, and yeah, we have definitely not gotten into the blood, guts, and gore. But yeah, all these calls keep flooding back as good memories.